Would you please, for The Guardian Live, welcome John Mulholland and the wonderful Richard Hawley.
I wanted to ask you about one song which I think you might sing, which is called What Love Means, which is on this album. And can you just talk to me about the kind of... are you a very emotional person, is the question I wanted to ask. Do you cry much?
Bit personal, that, isn't it? Doesn't everybody, really, you know? I mean, yeah, I'm not somebody that's in bits a lot, you know what I mean? I'm quite a together bloke. My grandfather and my dad and all my uncles were all steel workers, but they were musicians as well. So there was kind of a way of showing emotion through music, I think, and humour. You know, because if you lived in a steel town, you got to laugh, because you would cry otherwise, you know. But yeah, the song that you're asking about, I mean, my daughter Rosie, she's 22 now. She's gone to, I mean, she was the first person in either side of the family that went to university. I mean, most of us never went to fucking school, let alone university. So, you know, it was amazing that she kind of achieved that. And when eventually she did leave home, I was just a total mess, you know. And unashamedly, the only way that I could deal with it was to write this song. Well, it only goes to show in these windows to the soul all we've got, you know. And these windows take us home, and it only goes to show what love means. The least of us collides, from north to south she flies. Child of mine bereft, I'll never forget the day you left. Well, it only goes to show in these windows to the soul are all we've got, you know. And these windows take us whole, and it only goes to show what love means.
Talk to us a little bit about Hollow Meadows and how that came about.
Basically, I like history generally, but I like local history very much. And basically, the Hollow was a corruption of the name Hawley, and that the Hawley family lived in this village outside Sheffield. And the actual rough translation of Hawley means lost place. What it kind of means, the word, or lost field, or something like that. It's from an Old Norse word, hallig. The lost place was this village on the outskirts of Sheffield called Hollow Meadows, and that's kind of the potted history version of it. I mean, I could go on and on, but unless you're a history fan, it's fucking boring.
But you discovered in the course of that research that your family had lived in Sheffield since the 1300s.
Yeah.
And given how important Sheffield is to you, that must have been quite an emotional thing.
I mean, I've always known that the family was connected with the city. The name itself is all over. I actually lived in Hawley Street, believe it or not. To know that you were sort of connected to the city, because we do live in a very rootless time, you know, where people are transient and they move around a lot, which is cool. But I've always liked the fact that you kind of had a sense of belonging and that there was a reason why I was there.
When you were growing up, Sheffield was falling on hard times and a lot of people had left.
People have said, well, why did you not leave in the kind of 80s, the mass exodus to London? Apart from the fact that I just can't stand London as a place. When the steelworks closed down, a lot of the old steelworkers became taxi drivers and bus drivers. My Uncle Gordon went on to work on the buses. When you get, I mean, Cheryl, you agree with this, is when you get on buses in Sheffield, you've got these tattooed, hairy, huge fucking steelworkers, ex-steelworkers, driving the buses that say, that call you love. know, and it's mint. And why would I want to live somewhere else? You know, it's just kind of, all right, love, you know, this bloke that probably could rip your head off and shove it up your arse, you know, and these kind of incredibly hard but incredibly funny and gentle men. You know, it's got its bad stuff as well, like anywhere else, but it's just home to me, and I've got my roots there, and it's weird even thinking about explaining it.
But I think the reason people ask you about it is that, you know, you refer to London, and London is a place that doesn't have those things to any great degree, that sense of community and the sense of place.
You know, it's a blanket kind of statement, but there's some incredibly cool people that live there as well, but it's just what it represents is everything I think that is fucked up about Britain, particularly England, which is everything is geared towards commerce and commerce alone. And our history with slavery and tobacco and all that is just geared towards money. And if money's all you want, money is all you will have. And I think there's far more fundamentally important things. We all need money, but there's far more fundamentally important things I think that that get lost, you know.
You're precious to me, like Owen's poetry, and I wish you well, my heart of oak. When you sang Bay of Biscay, the whole world had drifted away, the wind it sighed through the hearts of oak. I'll always be beside my heart of oak.
Talk to me about how writing comes to you and where they take shape.
Just walking dogs.
Just walking dogs.
Yeah, basically. It sounds kind of, well, it does sound weird to me. Something happens to your brain when you put one foot in front of the other. Like when the kids were little, the boys, I'd put them in a double buggy and just walk miles because they'd be screaming their head off or whatever to give our lass like a bit of a break, you know? And I wrote Cole's Corner, that song, pushing the boys on the swings. And the rhythm of that, da, 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 da.
So when you say you're writing it, I mean, it's taking shape in you're not physically writing down lyrics while you're pushing the swing, obviously. I mean, how does that, when do you actually sit down and write the lyrics? Is that at a different stage? Or?
Usually when me and Ches are in the shed. To commit to kind of doing the lyrics is always a last minute thing. Me and Jarvis, we're both the same. He's worse than me actually. He'll literally do it the last possible second. Like sat before he did the vocal with Common People. And me and him had half a bottle of whiskey each other and about 10 bottles of lager. And he was like, right, you've got to do it. And he was getting more and more sort of pissed and more not really into the idea of doing it because he had to commit. And then he wrote all the lyrics in one big kind of thing. And I sort of do the same, really, always have. But then sometimes it's just like the next one we're going to sing, I wrote the lyrics to this. This was just in one big splurge, wasn't it? Because I thought we were only doing 2 songs, which is cool. Sometimes I feel, should we do that one?
Okay.
That's quite wordy.
Sometimes if you want to have a clean shirt, you've got to wash it. Sometimes if you want to know what the time is, you know you really got to watch it. Sometimes if you really don't want to go the way the world is, you just can't stop it. And I don't know which one I rely on, but I don't rely on it. And all these things I know to be true, and each one brings me closer to you, and all the things I've ever loved,
I slipped over and basically broke my leg. Well, it was the first day of the world tour. So I had to do the whole tour in a wheelchair.